go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have fall Dollar Tree DIYs for you. And the theme today is owls. I think owls are a great theme for fall, and I've got some really fun ideas for you. Now, they have a couple of these like little felt owls at Dollar Tree right now. This one's a little bit smaller. It's like a little owl kit. You could probably do it with the larger one too. I don't really need any of the little pieces that came with it because I think they're all kind of cartoonish, and I want to make like a really cool owl wall hanging, but I want it to look more high end with like burlap and stuff like that. And these bright colors and the felt and stuff like that just doesn't look that way. So I am going to use the little owl part though as a template. I do kind of have to cut off the little feathers for the part of the owl here that doesn't really go. And that is going to be the back of our wall hanging. I want to do like a really fun like burlap owl wall hanging, kind of a plushy kind of thing. And for the burlap, I'm going to use one of these little burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these. It's like a synthetic burlap, so it doesn't fray. Super easy to cut. It's like coated with like a light plastic there on the back. And it works great for crafting. It's not quite big enough to cover the entire owl, so I'm going to do it in 2 pieces. I'm going to go from like the neck down here, and I'm just tracing this out with a Sharpie on the back of our burlap bag. Then I'm just going to go in and cut that out. Now, I cut it out a little smaller than I actually wrote on there so that I could have a little bit of a felt border around the edges, and that's just how I'm going to put it together later. I kind of thought that would be necessary. So I have a little bit of a felt edge there. So I'm going to use the other side of the burlap bag here to cut out the little owl head. I do go around the little ear tufts there on the owl, but I end up actually not cutting that part out. I tried, but I couldn't really get it to line up very well, and I had a different idea for the little ear tufts anyway, but I went ahead and cut them out initially. So that is going to be like the burlap front of our little wall hanging. And this is going to be kind of like a plushie. I'm going to use it as a wall hanging, but I suppose you could kind of sit it up against something and kind of just use it as a small pillow or a plushie. I think my son is going to actually want this because this is his mascot. Owls are his mascot for college, and he's been asking for a DIY, so I can see him wanting this one because it turned out so cute. So I am just going to start hot gluing the burlap to the front of our brown felt. The felt is kind of like our template, kind of the back. It's not that pretty, so that's just going to be the back of our little owl. And then we're going to go ahead and cover the top. Have a little bit more of an overlap here than I really need. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue this part on. I did glue it shut there at the bottom, kind of forgetting that I was going to stuff it. So I do open that back up here in a little bit to put a little bit of pillow fluff in there. Now, this was my idea for the little ear tufts, was to make just a little tassel. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, wrap it around 3 fingers, then just tie that off just so I'll have like, you know, a little fringy little ear tuft here for this owl. And I'm just going to glue that on there, sticking like straight up. And I am going to go in and cut like the knot off of the little tassel. I just really wanted the fringe of the twine for the little ear tuft to make it look nice and fluffy. I don't know at this point that you can even really tell this is an owl because the shape doesn't really look that much like an owl to me. But in the end, it turns out really cute. So I just go ahead and make a little tiny tassel here for the other side, trying to make it about the same size, hot gluing that on to the little felt ear tuft there. And then just trimming off the knot, I can like flip it over. I can trim that down a little bit because it's a little bit wild at this point. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Doesn't need to be quite that crazy. But I do want it longer than the little ear tufts behind it so you can't really see it. Now, these are wood craft rings from the Dollar Tree. These are the larger ones that come in a 2-pack, and I thought they'd make really fun owl eyes. Now, my camera died, but all I did was take an ink pen and trace around the inside of the little wood ring so we'd know where to paint the eyes. I didn't really want to order eyes or anything for this, so I thought we could paint this and get a really fun effect. So I didn't really want like a stark white on this, so I'm just going in with like an ivory acrylic paint and trying my best to paint a little circle that will be kind of underneath the little wood rings. And then I'm also going to do like a little owl eye on there once I get it painted ivory. That's just going to be like the white part of the eye. Now for the little wood rings, I thought they would look really good stained. So I'm just going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly. I'm going to go all over the front and the back, wiping off the excess stain with a paper towel. Just because it's kind of 3D, you might be able to see a little bit of the back, the way they're going to stick on there. And I think this is going to give our owl these big owl eyes that owls are so famous for, right? Now, this is when I remembered that I probably shouldn't have sealed that shut, so I just used my heat gun just to kind of open up my hot glue right there. And then I'm going to use this Harvest Gold acrylic paint here just to paint some nice yellow owl eyes. I just kind of do a circular shape. Trying to keep them kind of even, maybe looking off to the side a little bit. And then once that's dry, I go in first with a Sharpie to try to like outline the eye and do the pupil. I was kind of having trouble getting my Sharpie to work. I do like the texture that you get from using a Sharpie on this, but it didn't really want to work too well on the eyes. So I'm going to follow that up with a black paint pen and just do a pupil and like outline the little owl eyes. Now for his little owl beak, I thought I would use one of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree in orange. I just wanted some orange burlap. And I'm just going to cut that down to size and give me a nice little owl beak right here in between the eyes. I just attach it here at the base with a little dot of hot glue so it kind of sticks out a little bit. Gives a little bit of a 3D appearance to our little owl. And now it's time to stuff this little guy. I just have some pillow fluff from an old pillow. And I am going to stuff the body first and then stuff the head. I kind of glued the feet shut, so they really didn't get very much stuffing, but I think that's okay. I just try to make the stuffing kind of as thin and flat as possible so it kind of looks, kind of level, but I just do want it to be nice and fluffy. And then I'm just going to use hot glue to seal that back shut with the burlap on top of the burlap. Then to kind of cover that, I thought we would give it kind of a touch of fall with like a fall ribbon. This is like the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon with the little pumpkins on there. And I thought that'd be fun to give it a little fall touch. So I'm just going to hot glue that over the seam. And then we'll just kind of make that into a cute little owl scarf. If I do give this to my son, I'll have to switch out the little scarf here, maybe for some of his school colors. That would be really cute. My son is away at college and we did visit him last weekend. We went to a college football game with him and he came home for Labor Day weekend. It was so great having him around. I really miss that kid. So I did want it to look like a little bit of a scarf. So I just cut 2 more pieces of that same ribbon and I'm just going to glue them here, kind of like it's tied around his little neck. Just a little fun detail, and it covers up that seam, which was kind of necessary. Now for his owl eyes, I think the little wood rings are dry. They really make the eyes stand out, I think. I'm going to use hot glue on the inside and just glue those straight to the front of the burlap. And those are some big owl eyes. I think that's a fun effect. Owl eyes are always a fun thing to do. Now for the seam around the edges, I wanted to have a stitched appearance. So I thought some of this burlap trim from the Dollar Tree would be really cute, specifically the little squiggly ones. I think that's going to make it look kind of like hand stitched, just a fun little vibe to go with the burlap. And so I am just going to start hot gluing that all the way around. Now, when I got to the little feet of the owl, it got a little tricky. So I did have to cut down just like little pieces to go back and forth on all of the toes. And then I can always trim that up later, and I just hot glue those on. It was easier than trying to get that ribbon to kind of go around all of those crazy angles. And I love these burlap trims from the Dollar Tree. They have 3 different kinds on a package, though. You only get 1 yard of each kind. And so 1 yard was not enough to go all the way around the owl, so I did have to open up another package so I could continue the same cool burlap trim. And see that, like, the effect that's giving it? I think it really gives it a fun little country vibe, maybe. I'm going to stop right here, right before the ear fluff, and then open another package and keep continuing gluing that all around our little owl head. And I think he turned out really cute. What do you guys think about this little burlap owl? Starting with that little kit from the Dollar Tree, I think he looks way more high-end. I think he's super cute. I'm going to trim up his little toes. I guess they're claws, owl claws. And I'm also going to cut a little piece of that ribbon right here just to kind of make that look a little bit nicer there where the little scarf would be tied. And that's when I was trying to decide if I was going to make him a hanging decoration, and I thought that would be the best. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, tie a little knot in it, and I'm just going to hot glue that to the back here of our little owl head. And our first owl DIY is complete, our little burlap owl. Isn't he fun? I have to find a special place to display him. Here he is, his big owl eyes and all. He definitely looks like an owl now. And I love that he has a little pumpkin scarf around his neck, a little touch of fall. And again, I think owls for fall is a really fun theme. I just did like little woodland critters for my last video, and I think owl is a fun one too. Okay, so the next DIY, I wanted to make an owl leaf wreath. So I'm just going to use one of these little wire reforms. I chose the medium size one, but you could do any size you want. And I want to make a cool like leaf wreath that looks like an owl. So I tried to like bend it into an oval shape. And unfortunately, it kind of broke right there at the seam on the bottom. But that's okay. I don't think that's really going to be important. I did try to like hot glue it back together, but I think once we get it all assembled, it's going to stay together anyway. But I kind of wanted that like upside down teardrop shape for our owl. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be an open reef or a closed reef, and I couldn't really decide. So I decided to use this like rug backer from Dollar Tree to make it have a back, but then it'll be see-through, right? This stuff's really fun to craft with, because it's got this cool texture, and a lot of times I use it for like, you know, fishing nets or stuff like that for coastal crafting. But I think this is going to be fun on this. Just another little fun texture. And I just hot glue it all the way around. I just cut the square a little bit larger than the reef. But once I get it all glued down, then I can trim off all the excess rug backer just by cutting around the wire. And you don't have to get it too close because we're going to be covering that with the little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I think that's going to look like the sides of the owl and the tail, and kind of fill it out and give it that shape of an owl. So I went to Dollar Tree today, and they had these burlap leaves in the fall section in all different colors. So I got tan, I got red, I got green, I got like gold or that orange color. I was so impressed with how many colors they had. So we're going to use all of them. We're going to make this little owl reef super colorful. Now, they do have wire on them. And at first I thought about like actually using the wire to string it to them, but they're actually easier to hot glue on. So that's what we're going to do. I just used a little twine now while I could to make a little hanger for a wreath because then that part will be covered up. So it's just a matter of removing the wire from the back. I mean, you could try to string it with the wire, but you're going to have to go in and out of the mesh if you use any kind of a backing on the back of your wreath. I'm going to start right here at the tail and just hot glue down one of the little tan burlap leaves. I think these are so cool. These are like the, I guess, oak leaves. They also have the larger ones that are maple. I don't craft with them as much just because I feel like they're a little bit too large. But I just do one on each side. That way it's kind of symmetrical. And then I can switch colors. I'm going to switch up to these red ones. And I'm going to hot glue like half the leaf there and then have like the other half like overlapping the tan. I'm trying to give the appearance of feathers but using leaves. So I thought that would be fun for fall. I switch it up and we're going to do green next. And that takes us like 3/4 of the way up our little owl wreath and then orange for the top. And if you can't find all these colors, I think if you could find maybe just a couple, you could get the same effect. I think this would also be really cute with the leather leaves. You can see I had some there in case I decided to use them, but I didn't really have a great variety of those. Then for the owl eyes, I'm going to use these fall flowers from the Dollar Tree. I think they look like really fun owl eyes. And then I can use some more of those burlap leaves for the little ear tufts for our little owl. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the wire from 2 more of those. I'm going to go back to that tan color since I haven't used that since the very bottom. And then just hot glue those and filling out the remaining part of our little wreath there, avoiding the hanger. And now we have our little owl eyes. I can just kind of poke those through the netting, hot gluing that to the back. Those were super easy to attach. I'm going to do one on each side. I think it's a fun way to do owl eyes with the flowers because they definitely resemble that. And I just hot glue them in place, just giving them a little bit of time to set up. Now, the only thing I have left to do on my little owl, this was so easy to put this little owl wreath together, is it needs a little owl beak. And I thought a really fun thing to use for an owl beak would be to use a Dollar Tree acorn. So I picked a nice long one, and then we're just going to hot glue that onto the material on the back of the wreath. Right there where a little owl beak would be. And it's a very kind of abstract kind of owl, but I think when you look at it, you can tell what it is supposed to be. It was definitely an easy owl fall DIY, but I think it turned out really cute. I love that the flowers for the owl eyes are burlap too. So I've got like all these fall colors of burlap all mixed together. Fall flowers, an acorn, everything kind of screams fall, but I think it definitely looks like an owl. And you know, you could totally make this larger. This is kind of the mini version, if you will, because I kind of use the medium size. It's not too large, but I thought this would make a really fun wall hanging for my home for fall. What do you guys think about my little burlap leaf owl wreath? I love him. I think he's really fun. Okay, and next DIY, I'm kind of obsessed with these wood slices from Dollar Tree, if you can't tell. This is like the oval one. I want to make it into a little owl, but I want it to be like vertical, so I don't really need the hangers to be on the side. So I'm going to carefully remove those. I'm not going to go after the staples. Sometimes when I do, it like totally splits open the little wood slice. But I thought we could make the wood slice actually look like an owl using some of the burlap leaves and burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I do is just loop some twine to make a little hanger for the back. Gonna use my staple gun to staple that on there so we have a nice thick piece of wood. And then flowers for owl eyes. I thought maybe we could do that with some of these little burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree. I love these things. I think they're so cool. And then for all of the feathers on the owl, I thought we could use these little burlap leaves. They come in like tan and ivory color, and they come in 2 different sizes. And we're going to just piece those together. Now for the eyes on mine, I chose tan burlap flowers for each eye. I think they're going to be about the perfect size. I don't use the little plastic double-sided tape that they come with. I'm just going to hot glue mine on. And then for the body of the owl, I thought I'd switch it up and do like the ivory burlap by switching up the different sizes and shapes to do like little owl scales, feather scales down the front. So like this row, I can fit about 3 of the smaller ones. And they're super easy to attach with a little bit of hot glue. This DIY was really easy too, and it turned out so fun. I think this would actually be really fun for like a Christmas ornament too, or just a fall hanging for somewhere that's kind of small. So I switched it up and did a row of like 2 of the larger ones, and then I'm going to go back and do 3 of the smaller ones. And as you can see, I'm kind of just overlapping them as I go. It'd probably be a little bit easier to start on the bottom with that one. And another one here on the bottom. Then I thought we could use like the tan or the brown ones to do like little wings coming down the side of the owl. Kind of like that. And I have different sizes and that's fine. I can just kind of mix that up. And I just hot glue those to the sides, kind of overlapping the sides, sticking out a little bit like a wing would. And I kind of had this owl vision in my head. I really didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I really like it. I think it's really fun and sweet. So this is definitely another version of the burlap owl that you can do on a smaller scale. So I'm going to use some of those little leaves for the little ear tufts on this one as well. I thought I'd switch it up and do the ivory since the eyes are the brownish colors. And so I just hot glue the little ear tufts and then hot glue each one of the little flowers on for the owl eyes. Now I wanted like the pupil part of the eyes to be dark, so I'm just going to use a black paint pen and go in and just paint the center part of each one of the burlap flowers black, so it'll kind of pop out and look like an eye. Now I decided I wanted a little bit more of the burlap leaves here to fill out the bottom here. I trimmed one down just because I kind of needed some smaller ones. And just hot gluing that, I wanted to fill up the entire like wood slice. And then I decided I also wanted 2 more on the sides to kind of make the wings go all the way up. So I just did 1 more of the small one on each side. And this little owl DIY is looking really cute. The only thing he needs is a little owl beak. So again, I'm going to use one of those little orange burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree and just cut down a triangular beak for this little guy. And hot glue it on with one end right underneath the eyes. And he is complete. I think he's really precious. Wouldn't this make like a really cute like Christmas ornament too? Because I love owls for winter too. But I think he turned out really cute. Here is a close-up of our little burlap owl wood slice. And every time I see those wood slices, I am picking them up because I love them. There's so many things that you can do with them. And they have such a cool texture with the bark around the sides. Isn't he sweet? I think he's really fun. And another fun take on the burlap owl. Now for the next DIY, I designed a printable for y'all. It is a fun owl with a fall scene watercolor. And I thought we could do it on one of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm just going to remove the hanger from the side because I need mine to be vertical. Don't really want that to get in the way. And I love these signs from the Dollar Tree because they're almost the same size as a sheet of paper. So I just printed this out on cardstock, 8.5 by 11, just regular size. And so I'll just have to trim it down a tiny bit. I just kind of used the little frame as reference to kind of guess how long I need to cut it. And as you can see, I don't have to trim it much to get it to fit. And I will share this free printable for you guys if you want to do an owl fall scene as well. I like to Mod Podge this on, and I really like using cardstock for that because you don't really have to worry about wrinkling. you can just lay this and stick that in there, and you're gonna get like almost like a painting look, like a finished artwork piece once you Mod Podge over the top. I'm just making sure that it is down everywhere. Every section is glued flat to that sign. The sign behind it is nice and flat, so it makes a great surface for this. And then we're just gonna go over the top of it with more Mod Podge. I do a couple coats of Mod Podge to get it sealed in. And I like to work in one direction so you kind of get a brush stroke in there too. It kind of gives a cool texture on the final piece. The only problem I have is those foam brushes from the Dollar Tree have been leaving like little gray specks whenever I Mod Podge with them lately. I might have to switch up my brush for my Mod Podging. But I'm cheap and I like to buy paintbrushes at the Dollar Tree. So basically that's all there is to it. All I have to do is give this a quick dry. And we have a little owl fall scene, a beautiful like watercolor scene. And I think this would look great in your fall decor. And again, in the description below, I will be sharing the printable for this. And this is a close-up of how it turned out. You can kind of see the brush strokes in there, how you kind of get that painting feel. And this beautiful owl watercolor scene in front of a fall-colored forest. And I like kind of the medium wood shade of that frame. I think it goes great with it. It looks really cute for fall. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video and let you know about my Facebook group. I always have it linked below. You can find out when I post new videos and see what everybody else has been crafting. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Threads, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Now we're going to switch it up and do some owl DIYs for a tier tray. And our first owl DIY, I'm going to use one of these little MDF owls that I found at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And the first thing I'm going to do is give it a coat of ivory all over. And I think it's going to be a perfect smaller size owl DIY for a tier tray. And the tier tray that I was crafting for was my 3-tier tray, so it's going to be a lot of DIYs, little smaller owl DIYs. Now for the eyes, I just chose 2 bottle caps off of a plastic soda bottle. I thought that might be fun, and painted those ivory as well. And then I'm going to give a little bit of a distress with Antique Wax by Waverly on my owl. Now for the pupil of the eye in the little bottle caps, I'm just going to take some of these little plastic round stickers from the Dollar Tree and just paint them black to look like little eyes. You could also use like buttons for this if you wanted. And then I'm just going to hot glue those right in the center of our little bottle caps. And it was a fun idea for owl eyes. I'm also going to use some Dollar Tree rope with that to kind of line the eyes to kind of give them a rustic feel, because I'm not going to do a traditional fall theme with the owls. I'm going to do like more of a coastal blue owl version, kind of to match my decor. But you know what? If you want to do more traditional colors, just kind of keep that in mind when you're watching these DIYs, because you could always switch it up. But I thought the brown rope from the Dollar Tree would make a really fun owl eye, just hot gluing that around our little bottle caps. And there's lots of fun ideas you can do for owl eyes. You just want something that's going to give it that big statement owl eye. And I thought that was a fun take on it. Gonna do the same thing here on the other side, just hot gluing that right around, trying to trim it down to size. And I wanted to kind of an ivory owl, but I also wanted to do some like light blue touches on there as well. And so the first thing I do is just burn off the fuzzies there, and then I use like my little aqua paint pen to give it some nice pretty blue eyes here around our little pupils. I think that gave it some really nice color, and it's kind of fun seeing an owl with some blue eyes, right? And then for the little owl beak, I thought it would be really fun to do a coastal touch by using some sea glass from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just trying to find one that is the right shape and the right color And I kind of wanted it to be blue to go with my blue theme, and I found one. They usually have like a flat side, and so that's what I'm going to glue down to my little owl here. And it's a perfect shape for a little owl beak. Then I use that same blue color to do some like little scales here on the front of our owl. Kind of like mermaid scales. And a few details sketched out on there as well. Some little orange for his little owl feet. And then I go back and distress all of the aqua, all the colors that we just added to that, kind of give it a softer feel. This little guy was super fun to put together. Now, for the eyes, I wanted a little bit more texture in there, so I thought I would use some of this wire jute from Dollar Tree just to add another little rope to kind of disguise the fact that these were actually bottle caps and give it just another little fun texture. So I just wrap those around each one of the little owl eyes to kind of make those owl's eyes just really pop. And then for the chest, I thought I didn't really like the scales I designed on there, and so I switched it up and added some seashells too, because they kind of have that same shape of like the little scales of, you know, fur or feathers, I guess, on the owl chest. So I just glued 2 of them side by side, and then I'll glue a third one here to the top to kind of give you that like feel. And I like that. I think that looks fun. Kind of unexpected, but you know, if I'm going to find an excuse to use seashells, I totally will. But I do want them to have a little bit of a blue touch, so I use that same aqua color, kind of just detail, distress them a little bit. Our fun little owl here for the tier tray. Just a few final touches until I'm super happy with them. And I even wanted that to look a little bit shinier because I felt like I used a lot of like matte colored paints on those. So I just did a little gloss Mod Podge on top. And then I want them to stand up. So I'm just going to use one of these Jenga blocks from Five Below, glue that to the back of our little owl. And then I decided he needs a little more distressing. So I did distress him all over with a little bit more Antique Wax by Waverly, just because I wanted this little guy to have lots of character. I think he kind of already does. Lots of 3D touches on that. And then I decided just a few more. So I'm just going to make some little tassels, kind of like I did before, just by wrapping some twine around my fingers. And I'm going to use those to make little feathers here on the side. Just another little coastal touch. I kind of went extra on this owl, but I love how it turned out. So I just attached that with hot glue and then just cut off the knots, kind of like I did before, for the little ear tufts of the other one to give him some little fluffy wings here. And he is complete, and he's ready for the tier tray. Now, this is a planter that I got for $3.50. Actually got it at Dollar General. I thought it was really beautiful though. And I love the texture and the design on there. But I thought it was a little plain being all white. So I told you we're going to do blue for our owls on this one. Because you know what? If it's your owls, you can make them any color you want. So I'm just kind of avoiding the eyes here and going around and painting all of the little scales here on the owl blue with some agave chalk paint by Waverly. And we're going to add this little planter to our tier tray. And I think he turned out so cute. So I wanted the eyes to be left like that white color. And so I was just being really careful to avoid those when painting. So I kind of switched up to a smaller brush to give me a little bit more detail. And then I'm going to use like this goldish brown color paint pen to color in his little beak and both of his eyes. And I think that's a fun complementary color to the blue. So I think that looks really good, but I think I could bring out the texture on all of the owl scales a little bit more with a little bit distressing. I do touch up the top of it there just to kind of finish off the blue and make that look a little nicer. And then I just take ivory and a chunky brush and I distress all over, kind of wiping off the excess. You got to be careful though that you're not wiping off the blue. But I just wanted them to have that kind of coastal farmhouse vibe. Blue with the ivory distressing, but it also brings out that great texture on it. If you find that you distress a little too much on your owl, you could always go back with your original color and touch it up. But instead of a plant, I thought it would be really fun to fill this up with some pumpkins. But it's really large, so I fill it up with some foam first. And then just some of the little white pumpkins here from the Dollar Tree. I'm using just whatever I had. I had some ivory picks that didn't have the little pumpkin stems. And then some of them that do. I just use the ones with stems on top. And just fill it all the way up with the pumpkins. Okay, next DIY for the owl tier tray. I picked up one of these little owl wood boxes from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And we are going to stain this. I just go all over with Antique Wax by Waverly. They're a little tricky to stain these little boxes from the Dollar Tree because you have to do the sides. You kind of have to do the insides, kind of anywhere that you're going to be able to see it. But I kind of give it a once over everywhere that I can kind of stain it. I do. And then I just wipe off the excess with a paper towel, and it has that beautiful wood grain. I do want it to look coastal though, so I do distress that with a little bit of ivory paint to kind of give it that old aged appearance. And I'm going to do that kind of all over. And this is a really fun find from Crafter Square as well. Owls is something that I find that they carry kind of year round. But I always like to decorate owls for fall. I don't know why. They just remind me of a fun fall animal. So I even distress the sides, the inside, anywhere that I think you might be able to see it. And then we're going to light it up with just a battery operated candle from Dollar Tree. I just take some twine and tie off a simple little bow. I thought that would be a nice, fun, decorative touch here to one of the little ear tufts. We can kind of make it look like a little girl owl, and I just do that, gluing it to the top. Then I had a fun idea that if I took some tissue paper, I could cover up the owl eyes, and then the candle would light that up and make them look like they're glowing. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just cutting down some white. If you had yellow tissue paper, I think that will look even better. And I'm just kind of cutting that down to size and then using a little bit of glue here, a glue stick, to lightly glue the tissue paper and glue it on the inside where the owl eyes now will glow that hopefully yellow color from the candle. And that's how it turned out, ready for the tier tray. The next DIY is from Dollar Tree. It's this little like white ceramic owl. It's kind of got like a really interesting texture on it. I don't know if it's really fall, Halloween, or like Day of the Dead, but I really liked it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is distress this little owl all over with some Antique Wax by Waverly. And that's going to bring out that beautiful texture on the front of this owl. I try to keep one direction, kind of giving it a wood grain, kind of make it look like a little carved owl instead of that like, flat white ceramic that it started out with. And I thought that was a fun effect. Now, when you paint like ceramic with Antique Wax by Waverly like this, you got to make sure that you get it really good and dry before you touch it, because it does take longer to dry on this kind of material than paint would. And see how cool the design is on that? I think it's really fun. I just made sure I got all the areas touched up, and then I'm going to distress it with ivory too to give it that aged appearance. And that distressing also brings out the texture even more by kind of making those areas kind of pop. No blue on this guy, but I think he looks cool. I was going for like a carved wood look on this owl. Okay, next DIY for owl tier tray. I picked this up at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree too. It is just a wood owl, and it's kind of got like the front panels on it. I just go over the whole thing with some blue. This is agave chalk paint by Waverly. You do have to be kind of careful though, because the paint kind of wants to like kind of sit there in the owl's scales on its chest. But I wanted blue for the back owl, and then I wanted the top part of it to be distressed more in like the ivory, to kind of do a blue and a white theme on this little owl. So I just kind of drag that over. I don't really worry about getting some on the blue owl because I'm just going to go back and distress them anyway with that ivory color. Then once I get it painted all that color, I want to distress it even more. So I use a little antique wax by Waverly, and I distress both the ivory parts and the blue parts to give it that aged appearance. I want him to stand up too, so I glue a little Five Below Jenga block to him as well. And this little owl DIY is ready to go. Super cute, super easy. Now this one I actually got at Goodwill. I got it half price. It was only $1.50, and it's a really fun like plush owl. I think I looked this up online, and maybe they were like originally sold at Kohl's. But at the time I thought that, you know, this could be handmade. It really kind of looks handmade with all the like little crocheted parts and stuff like that. It was well loved, so I'm just going to touch it up. You know, glue back any parts that might fallen off, or, you know, clean it up a little bit. But otherwise, he was in pretty good condition, and I thought he'd be really fun on the top of my tier tray because he's nice and large. He'll be a nice statement piece. He's got like burlap on him. He's got like all these different colors of brown and tan and different textures. He's even got like little leather eyes. So I thought he was a fun find. I also got this little candle holder at Goodwill for 99 cents, and it just looks like a little tree log, and I thought that would be perfect for an owl tier tray for fall as well. Now this little owl is from the Dollar Tree. They have these in all different colors, but I wasn't really a fan of any of them, but you can always paint them, and that's what I'm gonna do. I just use that same agave chalk paint by Waverly. The chalk paint does a really good job of painting over this glossy ceramic, and I'm just going to paint him all over. I was like looking online for owls, and like people take these little owls from the Dollar Tree and they paint them all different colors like this and sell them for way more online, I've noticed. Then I just distress him all over with ivory. It's going to bring out all like the scales, feathers all over a little owl, and gives me a really fun texture. So I just kind of go back and forth with my colors there until I'm happy with them, and I think he's ready to go. Okay, the next find, I found these owl salt and pepper shakers. Aren't they so cute? I thought these were a really fun find, and these were from Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is paint them ivory. I'm not going to use these as salt and pepper shakers. I'm actually just going to use them as decorations for my tier tray. And so I don't really care that I'm not using like food safe paint or anything like that because I'm not going to use them. So I painted one ivory, so I thought it'd be fun to paint the other one, the agave blue color that we were using. And so they'll look a little bit different, but they're going to be the shaped the same. And I thought they would be really cute to do like a little blue owl, little ivory owl, and sit them up on a Dollar Tree hay bale. So they're looking pretty cute. I do go in and give a little bit of detail with like my gold paint pen, give him some little gold eyes, a little gold beak, and I do the same thing on this one just to give them a little bit more detail. And then this is the Dollar Tree hay bale. I am just going to stand them up on that, and they are ready to go. Another owl Crafter Square find. I found this little wood box with this cute little owl on it, and I thought that'd be a fun thing to, you know, decorate my tier tray with. At first I tried to avoid the owl, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stain the whole thing with Antique Wax by Waverly, and then I can always go back and paint the owl over that. No big deal. I am going to go ahead and include the entire box, so I just go ahead and stain the entire box with the Antique Wax by Waverly. Now to kind of stay with my blue theme, I'm kind of using kind of a mint green bluish color to color in my cute little owl here on the front. He's kind of cartoonish, but I think he's super cute. I kind of paint everywhere that bluish color except for the eyes, so we can kind of go back in and make that two-tone. I'm just going to paint the eyes of our little owl ivory to kind of make them pop against the blue. And this was such a fun, easy little DIY to do. Don't be afraid of like these raw wood boxes like that. If they have something on them, that would match your theme. Didn't that turn out so cute? I thought for a little bit more texture, I could take some of the burlap trim ribbon to decorate around the side of the lid. I thought that'd be cute too. But again, I'm going to distress everything with some ivory to kind of give it that coastal farmhouse vibe that I love so much. So I distress the little wooden lid. I also go ahead and distress the box just so it's a little bit more uniform. Wiping off any excess with a baby wipe. Now I can go ahead and attach the burlap trim. I'm just going to do it around the edges. I thought it would just give us another little fun texture here to our owl tier tray. And I just go all the way around all four sides, just tacking that down with hot glue. And this DIY is ready to go. Isn't it cute? I love the little blue owl. And I can stand that on the side where you'll be able to see it on a tier tray. Okay, I found this cute little owl actually at the Target dollar spot. He's a little teeny tiny owl planter. He was $1. And so it was kind of like an unfinished ceramic. So to make it more finished, I just go over it with some ivory chalk paint to give him a good coat of paint. And then I'm going to go in with like my mint green paint pen, give him some like blue eyes. And my gold paint pen, give him a little golden nose. And kind of bring out some of the scales there on the front of him as well. He's super tiny, but I thought he'd be a fun little thing for the tier tray. Okay, the next DIY, I thought it would be fun to do like a tree, since we're doing owls and we're doing fall theme. So I picked up one of these galvanized metal trees from Dollar Tree, and I just do the trunk with Antique Wax by Waverly, but I also put some all around the tree because I want it to look like a fall tree. So I want to paint it, but I want to do like all different colors, like fall colors that a tree might be. So I go back in and kind of distress all of that with just some yellow paint and kind of blending it all together. I thought orange would be good too. So I go in with some orange too, kind of dot that around. I just wanted to look like a kind of an abstract fall tree that we can add a little owl to. I go back with some yellow, kind of distressing over the orange because it was kind of bright until I'm happy with it. For the owl, I'm going to use a little owl sticker that I found at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this one because he's got blue on him. It's kind of going to go with my blue theme of my owls. And I just stick him right inside the tree. Now, sometimes I like to decorate the little pole in the middle of my tier tray. And I found these great owl bows at the Dollar Tree. And they're burlap. I thought these would be perfect. I can just put that on there. And then for a little filler, I thought some golden fall leaves from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. So let's start putting this little owl tier tray together. Again, this is my 3-tiered galvanized metal tier tray that I got at Target. I always remove the ring on the top of mine just because it kind of gets in the way. So I just put the bow on there. Here is our thrift find owl. He is such a find. I love that little guy. Our little blue and white owl, our little tiny owl, we could just put on top of that little log candle. That looks really fun, and then you can see it. Moving down, we have our little candle owl that we DIY'd. Our Dollar Tree owl right here in front. I love him in blue. The little box that we DIY'd, so fun. Sorry, I'm totally banging the camera here. And the one that looks a little bit carved. Gonna just use some fall leaves to provide a little fun fall color in there. A nice contrast against all the blues that we used. And then we have one more tier to decorate. So the little hay bale with our little salt and pepper shakers. We DIY'd one blue and one white. And our little tree with our little owl in it is a fun little fall surprise. Gonna again use some of those leaves as filler. And here is that fun little owl that we DIY'd with all kinds of fun coastal touches. And then our little owl planter full of pumpkins to finish it off. So fun putting this little owl tier tray together. I am just going to kind of rearrange things here until I'm super happy with it and just fill up any areas that don't have anything with some more fall leaves. And this is how it turned out. It's not a traditional, probably, owl tier tray, just because I switched it up with my coastal touches and my blues. But if you didn't want to do blues, hopefully I gave you some great owl tier tray ideas. You can kind of paint yours whatever color you want. Some of those Dollar Tree owls, once I, painted the textures on them, I think they turned out so cute. And our little bottle cap owl there in front is so funny. I really liked the planner that I picked up at Dollar General as well, with its big owl eyes. And there's our little fall tree right there in the back. Just a fun idea for a fall tier tray and some more owl DIYs for you. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I've introduced memberships on my channel. It's an easy way for you to support me here on YouTube. $4.99 a month, and you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos and a few other perks like shout outs. And I want to give a huge shout out thank you to Karen O'Haron, Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Verda Noctegal, Julie Miller, Nancy Warner, Jan Zalata, Tammy Coates, and Janae Farrington. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you. And now it's time for the final reveal. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really helps. Comment your favorite owl DIY below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. Enjoy the final reveal.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold when the autumn leaves are playing chase. It puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember. All the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video right here.